You're watching the most viewed news in Central Iowa. This is Iowa's news leader. This is KCCI 8 News at 10.
I'm Wade Claymore.
I'm Ashley Gagnon.
Be sure to watch our special report tonight.
We have the full story coming up next.
For the Gagnos of West Des Moines, faith and family come first, both of which were tested in January of 2013 when Ashley, their youngest, began to complain of an unexplained pain. But until then, Ashley hadn't shown any signs of what was to come.
She was actually a really easy baby. As a second child, I think she was just kind of a go with the flow. I used to say often that she was my easy baby, and I remember my dad saying, I don't know about that. You might want to keep an eye on her. I think she might give you a little run for your money. So.
Some days she'll spend a half hour with me roping her with this little lasso that she has. So it just, that's what she's into lately.
But one night, Ashley woke in pain.
Ashley had woke up in the middle of the night back in January of 2013, crying, just in pain. She wouldn't let us pick her up. She wouldn't let us console her. Her body hurt, for lack of better words, legs, hips, and then it got to the point where Ashley and I would sleep in the recliner because I could find just a certain position that was comfortable to her. It got to where we couldn't pick her up, we couldn't touch her. It got so she wouldn't let me wash her hair because her head hurt. So at that point in time, we were admitted to Blank with the plans to do a bone marrow biopsy the following day.
The news was devastating.
The first initial conversation, we didn't know which type of leukemia she had. Dr. Woods actually got the phone call while we were talking through it with her. And I think from there it was just a ball of emotions, the unknown, the fear, the not my baby, the we have to start making phone calls. I don't think there was a lot of sleep going on that night. And then the next morning we started treatment.
Treatment would prove to be the hardest part.
The amount of steroids that she was on that first month, she became very swollen. I mean, she gained about additional 20% of her body weight when you're, 34 pounds to begin with. She swelled up very crazy. I mean, I look back at pictures now, and she didn't look like our child. And
those are the kind of things that there's nothing you can do. All you can do is be there and try to help them in any way you can. But it's a lot for a 4-year-old to go through. So.
Other than the emotional strain of the disease, the financial strain was felt as well.
Yes, it costs a lot to have cancer.
It is a financial concern. It is a financial constraint, and something that goes along with the journey of having a child with cancer.
But through the worst times, the true character of friends, family, and even strangers shone through.
Really got a renewed faith in mankind through the whole thing, with just the amount of community support.
Our community in West Des Moines and at Sacred Heart was absolutely amazing to us. They did so much to ensure that our older daughter Allison's life continued as normal. It was so nice to have that network of people, and that's the school to be able to keep her life as normal as possible. It stinks. The whole process is tough. It's tough on the family, but to be able to know that her life is continuing as normal as possible at school and after school, and that was very helpful to be able to focus on Ashley, knowing that we had such a network of people and family and friends to help out.
For Ashley, though the cancer is not gone, hopes are high, and her character continues to shine through.
Ashley's really a pretty shy kid, and some of the things that she's been through have, helped her helped her become more outgoing, I guess. And
she's tough as nails. She's determined, she's stubborn, but she's also an active participant with her treatment.
Wait, come here. Wait, come here. Yeah. Come on.
He's always been a very energetic kid. For the
Very
most part.
rambunctious.
Yeah, you know, he was our first boy. Obviously, we had 3 older girls.
And we had 4 kids in 4 years and 20 days. Lindy turned 4 on April 8th, and then 20 days later we had the twins, and we also had Nina in there too. So it was a lot of kids, a lot of little kids. He spent 13 or 14 days in the NICU. So he kind of started out scaring us to death, and that's continued. He woke up and said his butt hurt, and I'm like, your butt? And he was limping, and he was kind of holding his hip, and I think he meant his hip bone, but he couldn't articulate that. He was 3. And that made kind of my blood run cold, because it's never good if a kid has a limp, if there's not a known injury. And that was sort of when I realized that I was scared enough that I needed to get him into the pediatrician. My best friend had stage 4 breast cancer, and she had been diagnosed initially at age 31. And we thought that she was fine for 5 years. Again, hindsight, she wasn't. I was one of her matrons of honor, and she was my maid of honor, and
Kids, godparent.
all 4 of the kids' godmother, and my best friend since I was 18, and one of JP's best friends. Anyway, so that week she had been doing very, very poorly, and when I was on my way to pick up the kids from school, and I was worrying very much about Wade's hip and all these symptoms and these things that had been going on, her husband called me and said, I have bad news for you. And so he asked me to call the priest to get last rites. So I'm sitting in my car in the parking lot of their school, worrying about Wade and Shay dying, and thinking this is going to be the hardest phone call and moment of my life, is to call and get my best friend a priest as quick as possible. The phone rang and he was in the car, and he's like, Carrot's the doctor. So I went sprinting to grab my phone. I mean, they're getting ready back out of the driveway, and she said, where are you? I said, well, we're in the driveway. We're going to leave in the next minute. She's like, you cannot leave. This is your priority now. I get him in the car. I buckle him in. I sit down. I turn on the ignition. My phone rings, and it's one of my closest friends, and she's crying. And I knew. And she said, where are you? And I said, oh, she died, didn't she? And she said, yes. What are the odds? That can't be. There's no way. And I'm trying to wrap my mind around the fact that my best friend of 21 years has died, and that my son may have leukemia.
He was diagnosed April 12th.
And he was sad. He wanted to keep saying, I want to go home, I want to go home. He didn't understand why he was there and what was going on, and he kind of felt like it should be a doctor's appointment. You go, they give you medicine, and then they let you go home. And he did not understand that, and he seemed blue and down.
Yeah, that was probably the hardest part, is him asking every time a doctor or nurse would leave, do I get to go home now? And he understands, like, you know, like I said, when we give him chemo every night, he goes, oh, it's time for chemo. And then about once a month, he'll say, I hate this leukemia.
No, I hate my leukemia, and I hate the boy.
Oh, yeah. And we're blessed by the community that we're surrounded by.
LLS has been...
LLS and Kids Living Brave, those two, you know, Within 2 weeks of my son being diagnosed, I was befriended by Matt Mauser, who also has a son, Joe, who has leukemia. We have him in all sports. He swims year-round. He's playing in the snow year-round. We try
skating?
ice skates.
He's kind of fearless.
His end date right now it's June of 2016.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Stay tuned for the live auction.
Coming up next.